want to do a video on our daily Bible reading just to give you more encouragement to keep reading and not give up. And as you keep reading the stories of the kings found in 1st and 2nd Samuel, now later on in 1st and 2nd Kings, and especially as you look at the story of David, very often we like to look at the stories in isolation, like the noble David fighting Goliath, and even David's noble character when he spares Saul's life 2 times. But then you get to 1 Samuel chapter 25, and you have the interaction with a man named Nabal, which actually in Hebrew means fool, and he lives up to his name as he is greedy, will not provide for David's soldiers, although they've been taking care of Nabal's land. They have not done anything to take it over. And David flies off the handle. He's ready to destroy all of Nabal's inheritance and his whole land and everything he owns. But Nabal's wife Abigail hears about her foolishness, the foolishness of her husband, and she goes out and appeases David, and David does not fall into bloodshed. Because of Abigail's wisdom, David does not become guilty of sinning and lets God be the judge, and then God does judge Nabal, and Nabal dies, and Abigail becomes David's wife. And it seems to be a pretty beautiful story of God's grace, and in many ways it is. But again, you kind of scratch your head because now this is David's second, even third wife, and it still does not show David in a perfect light. And so I think that we just need to understand, especially as we read the stories of the Old Testament, we've seen this with Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. We've seen them in their lives. Sometimes they do some strange things like marry multiple women, fly off the handle and give out vengeance. And we need to understand that the Old Testament, especially, and all the stories of the Bible, are most often descriptive, not prescriptive. Descriptive means it was describing what actually happened. It just shows the messiness and the ugliness and the sin with some of the righteousness and holiness of these characters. But just because the Bible describes something doesn't mean it prescribes something, doesn't mean it's commanded. So just because David married multiple women, just because David wanted to seek vengeance, just because David did some of these things that were not good, just because he did them doesn't mean the Bible approves of them, as if we should all do them. In fact, there's consequences for all of David's actions. He will have problems and consequences in his life because of some of these bad decisions. So that's something to just enjoy the story, look at the story, let the consequences show us that we should not necessarily follow the example of these people, but all the while God is preserving the line of David from the tribe of Judah according to the promise given to Abraham that goes back to the Garden of Eden when God promised that he would send a Savior, a real king, a just king who is even more just and righteous than King David. That's Jesus Christ the Messiah. So don't get thrown off by these strange stories. Just read them, enjoy them, see them for what they are, and look forward to how they all point to Jesus, the perfect King. All right, keep reading. Don't give up. Hope that helps.